Hello, everyone, and welcome to Info Gist TV, where you get reliable and authentic news that are so crucial to you. And I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has been part of this channel and who has taken time to subscribe. And if you are here to subscribe, I say please click the red subscribe button and also the bell icon. Now the bell icon will allow you to get notified anytime we publish any news. Now the news today is why the North is backward in education. So why is the North backward in education? Because the truth of the matter is that with the North having been in political leadership of Nigeria for a very long time, they have occupied the leading positions in this country more than any other tribe in this country. But again, they are still backward and impoverished in some areas in Nigeria. They are not just backward in education, but when it comes to the education, especially in those areas where they've been attacked by Boko Haram and all that, you see that poverty speaks a volume. Now, Muhammad Abubakar, Sultan of Sokoto, says education can be used to address the problem of religious extremism. The Sultan said many people use religion for self-reasons because they have not received proper teachings on what Christianity or Islam entails. So many people turn religion upside down to suit them because they have not been properly guided on what should be the teachings, especially of two major religions, the monarch said. This has been a serious challenge to us. So education is one area where we can deal properly with the challenge of extremism. He said those fueling insecurity in the country have turned the true knowledge upside down and interpreted it the best way they understood. The more we come together and talk, the more we profile possible solutions to various prevailing issues that we are facing as a country, Abubakar said. Hence, in his words, the need of having properly educated people in the society. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, has identified the reason why the northern part of Nigeria is backwards when it comes to education. In his words, the first Clark monarch who spoke in Abuja at a conference organized by the Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation with the theme Education in Northern Nigeria, Status Challenges and the Way Forward, said lack of implementation of past recommendations is the major reason for setbacks on education in the North. Now, according to him, the region would continue to suffer same fate if the recommendations of previous panels are not taken seriously or implemented. The Sultan of Sokoto, who spoke as chairman of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council, representing 21st class traditional rulers, stressed the need for stakeholders in the North to show more seriousness in the area of implementation of recommendations made to accelerate the development of education. He also said the region will continue to organize conferences annually with no progress if actions are not taken towards implementation. Now, speaking further, the Sultan commended a former Minister of Education, Professor Ahmad Rufai, and her team for carrying out another research whose recommendation he tasked the stakeholders to constitute a committee for its implementation to achieve the desired goal. This is our problem implementation. If we do not implement it, we come back next year for another conference and still talk about the same thing. So let's be more serious now, because if you haven't identified the problem, you have a half-solved problem. You have the solution, half of the solution. Now, let's look for the other half of the solution so that we can move forward. Meanwhile, the Arewa Economic Renewal Forum has said that poor leadership has been the major reason for the high poverty rate in the North Nigeria. The forum said this during a press briefing in Abuja. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the ERF, Ibrahim Yahaya, said it has become compelling for anyone vying for the position of the president to come up with a strategic blueprint to economically transform the North. He said, as we eagerly look forward to the 2023 general election with keen hope for a peaceful, free and fair election, we, the Arewa Economic Renewal Forum, a regional economic renewal movement, have determined that now over the years, Nigeria and especially the North have suffered an epileptic form of leadership born out of a lockstar attitude of elected persons to engineer the much desired economic prosperity by exploiting regional assets, demographic potentials, geologic advantages, and agricultural benefits for economic, infrastructural, and human development. The resultant consequences for our region is poverty, substandard education, lack of access to credit financing, and other negative underdevelopment indicators. No doubt, the size and dimensions of the population of the North region displaces in terms of size any other African country apart from Nigeria itself. In other words, if this region would have been a country of its own, it would still remain the most populous country in Africa and one of the 10 most populous in the world. He lamented further that while the northern region of the Federation accounts for over 70% of the total arable landmass in Nigeria, geologically created in such an advantageous way that it could allow for 12 months of agriculture, as it is traversed with river basins and aquatic reservoirs that would allow for 3 seasons of harvest every year. Only about 23% of the landmass is fully utilized for agricultural purposes. Also, he stated that out of over 3 million hectares of potential dry season agricultural river basins, less than 1 million hectares are inefficiently utilized, yet Nigerians have about 10 river basin development authorities in existence for over 45 years. He also added that the inability of successive administrations to exploit these resources in mainstreaming human development as the most dominant factor in development planning has remained the region's greatest albatross. Consequently, we have the worst human development index, with an estimated 87 million people living on less than $1.9 per day, yet none of the top-ranked 5 economies in the world, Norway, Ireland, Switzerland, Hong Kong, and Ireland, are more naturally endowed than Nigeria and indeed the North. In terms of maternal mortality, Nigeria has about 512 maternal deaths per 100,000 births as of September 2022, with a large percentage of these concentrated in the North. And while in education, northern Nigeria represents about 70% of Nigeria's population of out-of-school children, holding a record of 13 million out of 20 million out-of-school children. This trend is exacerbated by insurgency and banditry across the north and northwest zones. In terms of access to finance and credit for investment and development from national financial system, the northern region has consistently, over the last 10 years, been shortchanged, sometimes by a deliberate policy of the government and private financial institutions. The gross distribution of development and investment finance by the government institutions and other financial institutions has always been skewed in favor of other region enterprises and institutions in Nigeria, Yahaya stated. He also further said that over the last 5 years, about 7 of the biggest banks in Nigeria do not accept real estate assets as collateral for any business in the entire north except assets in Abuja. And over last 10 years, loan portfolios for Nigerian banks have equally been in favor of other regions and to the disadvantage of the entire northern region, with some slight exceptions for Abuja. This same trend is visible in other financial institutions, including development finance institutions owned by the government and special intervention funds provided by budgets and or Central Bank of Nigeria special intervention